So let's get started. What is Python, and why Python for data science? So if there's any issue, just blindly ping me on chats, okay? Just blindly ping me on chats. Okay, great. So we are gonna get started. So yeah, why Python? Python is in demand everywhere, and Python currently is mainly used for data science stuff. 90% of the projects which are currently done in data science are done by using Python. So in Python, what do you need to get started in data science? You need basic knowledge of Python. You need, it's okay if you don't have the object oriented concepts, but at least you must know how to define functions. You must know what is regex. Regex means regular expressions. You must know what basic Python is. Uh, what are the different data types in Python? After knowing this basic Python, you need to know what NumPy is. A NumPy is a library of Python. You need to understand what pandas is, what matplotlib is, what seaborn is. So there are lots of there are lots of libraries which are used in data science, and these libraries itself are a huge topic. So what we will do today right now is we will see what Python is. So I'm gonna go from the basics because there are many people who are new to Python and this is the first time they might be coding. So I wanna keeping those people into consideration. I'll start from very basic. So those people who already know Python, they might find this repetitive and something which they already know. But keeping those people into consideration, I need to get started. Okay. Is it just me or is Sir's voice breaking up? So is it just Ayush or is everyone facing this issue? Uh, So if the voice is really bad, just ping me. I'll see something if I can do. Or is it okay? Just ping me. Anything would be great.
Actually, it's okay, but I would recommend all of you, the participants, use an earphone. So it will help you out. So that is what I just tried because with laptop it was quite disturbing, but when you plug in your earphone, it's quite good.
Okay,
So
okay.
that's a humble request from our side. Please use an earphone, and it will give you a clear voice.
Yeah, yeah. It could be because there are 50 participants and there's a net issue also.
Yeah, so I guess it's internet issue, not the participants
Yeah,
issue. So we'll
yeah,
check
yeah,
it next time.
yeah. Just use headphones and earphones. Okay, okay, okay. So let's get started. So okay, so Python is a very popular language. It has lots of features. It is reliable, flexible. It is easy to learn. It is free to use, and Python is completely open source. We don't need to pay for using Python, and we have lots of libraries and open source kind of work which is already done in Python. Yeah, so we are gonna use Python for data science, and 90% of the projects in industry currently run on Python. They use Python for it because of the different libraries which Python offer, and because of the great community support we have, uh, Python is the best option currently in industry for data science. Okay, yeah. So let's start with basic comments. In Python, we don't have the concept of multi-line comments. Don't have the concept of multi-line comments. So we just have single line comments here, and we define it by using a simple hashtag. A simple hashtag is okay. You can. It's not necessary that you need to put a hashtag at the front of the statement. It's okay if you put it later also, and that is how comments are written in Python. Okay, so as you can see in this Jupyter notebook, this is a cell in the Jupyter notebook. So this is a Jupyter notebook which kind of works in this way that we have a cell, we write some code into it, we execute it, and we see the output. In a normal IDE, what happens is we have a normal Python file and we run it. But in data science, what happens is we need to see a lot of graphs. We We need to see a lot of data visualization stuff. So it is nice if you have something where we can just write a code, see the output, write a code, and see the output once again. So in this way, the work in data science goes. That is why Jupyter notebooks are very popular. Even great companies like Netflix, Google, everyone uses Jupyter notebook only. We have Jupyter Lab, which is a much better version of it. We have Spider also. We have Google Colab. But the main thing is we have cell-wise execution. Okay. Yeah. So this is how we write comments in Python. So as you can see, I declared a variable spam is equal to 1, but after that we have a comment written. So that comment won't get executed. After that, as you can see, we have a hashtag here, but it is inside the code. So I am here defining a string. Text is equal to, this is not a comment because it's inside quotes. Okay, so if it is inside quotes, it is not a comment. Okay, and we are then just printing the string, and yeah, I'm printing it once again. So people who are on Jupyter Notebook and a Google Colab, if they want to run it, you can run it by clicking the run button at the top, or you can just do a control enter. By doing that, it will work. Okay. So now if you want to do multi-line comments in Python, so what are the ways? One thing is that you put a hashtag at the front of every statement. That is one way. Or the other way which developers uses, we use docstring. So as you can see here, we have triple quotes here at the beginning and at the end. And here I've written Sujit is learning. So here this entire string is commented out. We can say that, but the point is that uh, the main purpose of docstring is not for multi-line commenting. The main purpose of docstring was whenever you define a function. So this is how a function is defined in Python. We have def function name, we have the brackets, we have a colon, and after that we write our statements into a function. In Python, indentation is very important. So what is indentation? Indentation is the spaces which you give in the statement. So as you can see here, this print is at the same kind of indentation level as def. So this will give me an indentation error. So to avoid that, we need to give proper indentation. So in Python, we don't use braces the way we have it in C++ or C. We have indentation, right? And so back to our concept of multi-line commenting, we are using a docstrings. So here, as you can see, I've defined a function name, and here I've given a docstring as this will print name, and I have just printed Sujit here. So let me run this. I've defined the function, and let me execute it. So as you can see, the name Sujit is printed, but I want to show you why we define the docstring and how it is important. So as you can see, I am just doing a simple tab shift. Yeah. If I do a tab shift here, you can see a docstring which is being written. This will print name, and this is coming from the docstring which I've defined inside it. And how this helps is this is how the in coding and programming world people write what that function do in Python. So if you write a big code, you can definitely use commenting out and just write what that function do, or you can write a docstring for it. So, but alternately, developers kind of use this docstring for multi-line commenting also. But the actual use of docstring is to tell what the function does. Okay. So up till now, if anyone has any doubts or queries in comments or something, just ping me on chat. Any other issue also, just ping me on chat. This is a simple help function which tells us what the inbuilt function print does. So it gives me an entire information of what print does, what are its attributes, and what do they do. You can definitely search on Python documentation and different kind of other good websites, or you can internally use help function also for knowing what that function does. So any doubts or something up till now? Just ping me on chats. I hope the sound is not breaking. Just bear with it. Next time, I'll definitely try to do better. Any doubts? Or just give me a yes on chats if there's no doubts, so that I can go ahead. Hey, thanks, Ayush. Thanks. I hope the sound is okay. So one more time, may I know what is the user document? Okay, no doubts, sir. Rajeshwari. I hope the sound is okay. Can just give me a can just give me confirmation on the sound. That would be a relief for me. Hey, thanks, man. That gave me a relief. Okay, okay, great. Thanks a lot. That felt like a relief. Okay. There's one doubt from Shivaranjani. Can you tell me what docstring does? So, Shivaranjani, let's try to keep it simple. Docstring will tell you what the function will do. Simple as that. Simple as that. Nothing. It is the documentation for a function. Okay, just try to keep this thing into mind. That it will tell me what the function will do. And if I want to tell the other developers what my function is gonna do, what I'll do is whenever I'll define a function, I'll put a docstring there. I'll put a docstring, I'll write here what that function is do. So when an other developer will be working on that same code base and if he wants to understand what that function is doing, he just do a simple help or a simple shift tab or shift editor and kind of will come to know what that function is do. I hope I kind of cleared it. Can you just give me a yes, Shivaranjani? It will boost me up. Hey, thank you, thank you. That felt nice. Okay, so let's get started with the other things. So I know that these things are very basics and people who know Python would be finding this is something which they already know. But the point is that there are many people here who are using Python for the first time. Keeping those guys into consideration, I can't go into hurry. Okay. Yeah, so let's start with the basic data type. In any programming language, we have data types because we're going to use with data. So we have data types to tell what that data is. So in Python, we don't kind of explicitly say that this is an integer, this is a float, this is an integer float or this is string. What this is something which happens in C and C++. We specifically mention int a is equal to 5, int a plus plus equal to int b is equal to 10. In Python, we use duck typing. Now, what duck typing does is, what is the concept of duck typing? Okay. So it in duck typing, it is like if it quacks like a duck, if it looks like a duck, if it walks like a duck, then it is definitely a duck. Keeping that concept into consideration, if I'm writing something, if I write, for example, a string, Akshay, if that interpreter is seeing that, okay, this looks like a string, this appears like a string, the attributes which I'm reading, the ASCII values or the Unicode values which I'm reading from that typical code or the typical thing which is returned, it appears like a string, then it is a string. On a very layman and on a very upper level, this is how duck typing is, and that is how in Python we define variables. We don't explicitly tell that it is an int float string. We just write it 2, 4, 10. That's it. Okay. So as you can see, we have 2 plus 2, 4. So I didn't define it. I didn't define any variable or something. I'm just writing it, and it is just making sense out of it. So on an upper level in Python, we have numbers, we have strings, and then we have compound data types. Like we have lists, we have sets, we have dictionary, we have tuple. If I go into much more detail, then we have frozen sets and many more things. But we kind of never use such things called frozen set and all. But just on a much more detailed level, yes, we have total 17 to 18 data types which are in Python. But you will have to just deal with 7 to 8, and that's okay. Okay, so we can use this Jupyter notebook size as a calculator. 2 plus 2 is 4, 10 plus 10 is 20, simple functions. I'm using a division operator for doing a simple division. 8 divided by 5 is 1.6. Okay, so we have something called as floor division, and we have the modulus operator for giving me the quotient and the remainder. 17 divided by 3, 5.667. If I just want the quotient of it, I'm using the floor division operator. It gives me 5. After that, I use the modulus operator to give me the remainder. Okay, on a very basic terms, very basic things. I'm starting it from right from scratch. This is how we do the exponential operation. 5 raised to power 2 is 25. So we use this double multiplication wale asterisk as the exponential thing. Double time. 5 raised to 2 is 25. 2 raised to 7 is 128. So as you can see, 2 raised to 2 raised to 2. So this is not 2 into 2 into 2, because 2 into 2 into 2 will give me an 8. This is 2 raised to 2 raised to 2. That is 2 raised to 2 is 4, and then I have 4 raised to 2. That is 16. Okay. So this is something interesting. Exponential operator has a higher precedence than minus. So as you can see, when I'm doing an exponential operation of minus 3, it is giving minus 9. But minus 3 square is 9, right? It's not minus 9. So what we do is just put a bracket here and then do an exponential of it. Okay, that is 9. Then we have an equal to sign. This is a simple assigning a variable. I'm just defining a variable width is equal to 20, height is equal to 5 into 90, and then I'm just calculating the area of the rectangle. Okay, this is the okay, here it should be pi into radius, that will be the area of the circle. Okay, simple examples. So now we know how numbers are, how to define a numeric variable in Python. Okay, on a very basic thing. So this is something very interesting and not very few people know. As you can see, the underscore variable. So what happens is the last operation which got executed, that value is stored into that underscore variable. It is an inbuilt thing which is in Python, and that thing can be used in the later segment of the code. So as you can see, the last value which was executed was 12.5.66625, and that I'm adding it to price. So price was 100.5. 100.5 plus 12.5625 is giving me 1130.625. So this underscore variable is holding the last value. So sorry, the value of the last operation which got executed. Generally, we don't use this in coding. This is something which is used in the inbuilt functions which have been written for Python. So if anyone gets a chance to see the source code of this function, you will see a lots of use of this variable, a lots of use of docstrings, a lots of use of that. Okay. So this is a simple code for calculating the area of a circle. We use the input function for taking the input from the user. Okay. The input which we get from the user is by default string, but for calculating the area of the circle, we want it as float. So we will be typecasting it, right? So we have a string, we are typecasting it into float, and after that we are applying the formula pi as code. Okay, we have an inbuilt function round, we are rounding it off. Okay, I might be speeding up, you might be here, but just get a gist of it. This was entire Python in 1 hour, so I need to speed up a bit also. So that is we have in the numeric thing. Any doubts, something, just ping me on chats. Okay, we have lots of doubts. Ayush sir, okay, Ayush Agrawal is asking, that is Ayush 4 raised to 2. Okay, it is 4 raised to 2. Okay, just give me a yes on chat. It is 4 raised to 2. Oh, great. Amit is asking, is it follows BODMAS rule of math equation? Yes, it follows BODMAS. It follows BODMAS. BODMAS is something, Amit, that is how math is done. So it needs to follow BODMAS. It is like you cannot skip BODMAS. That is how math is done. You cannot avoid BODMAS. But sometimes in programming world, you will see some thoda bahut upar niche hota hai when you kind of deal with binaries and all. So at that time, just because how the computers work or how machine language work, sometimes we need to tweak a bit some of these things. Like we know that -3 square is 9, but just because in Python we have given higher precedence to exponential, Python will definitely print it as -9. So because we know BODMAS, we need to make that correction. But okay, minus c square will be 2. Okay. 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 So we are done with numeric. Any more doubts on numeric? Just ping me on chat something which you have not understood, or if you want me to repeat it out. Okay, I take it a yes, as because no one is replying it out. Okay, I take it a yes. Okay, thank you. Thanks for the confirmation, guys. Thank you. Okay, so let's start with strings. I hope the screen is visible. Yeah. So let's start with strings. So as you can see, for defining strings, we can use single quotes, we can use double quotes, or we can use triple quotes also. Now, why do we have these two things? Generally, in English language, if you see, we use double quotes while in text. If you see, if we say Akshay said, uh, Zoom is a great platform. So if you write this thing in English, you will have a simple comma after said, you will have a double inverted commas at the starting of the sentence and an inverted comma at the end of it. And we see whenever we say Rahul's or Akshay's, so there's a single comma at the start of it. So deal with such kind of things, that liberty is given for strings for using all these three quotes for defining it. So we have single quotes. Yes, as you can see, we have SpamX, which has been defined by using single quotes. Now, as you can see, if I remove this backslash, if I try to execute it, it will give me a syntax error because this single quote is getting ended here, and we don't have another quote for ending this single quote. So for dealing with that issue, we have an escape character here. So it kind of gets us solved there. Or you can also do it in this way. You can do it this way also. So we don't need to write this dirty escape character. So as you can see, my name is Asmita. My father's name is Ravidas. I'll print it. Simple as that. I'm defining a string and I'm printing it out using print function. So you can use double quotes, you can use single quotes, you can use triple quotes also. Just pay attention to this example. We have single commas at the end, we have double commas inside. Then that is working great. We don't have any syntax error. Now if I don't want to use single commas, I want to use double commas only. I'll just use a backslash here, and that would get my work done for me. Okay, here also I've used single commas outside, there's one single comma inside, and there's also double commas also. So you can see it's working great. Okay, yeah. So this is just somewhat playing with commas and how string works. So one issue which many people faces whenever they kind of work with the path of the file. Many times this happens is whenever we use such backslash character. Now here you can see here we have backslash n. So that is being read as new line, then name, because that is how it is defined in the programming world language. So what do we do here? We can use a simple R at the starting of the print function to get us done with it, or we can use a double slash also. So let's see if it works. Yes, you can see it is breaking right now because your slash n means new line. Let me do this. It works. So it works like an escape character. Okay, great. This is the just one and the same thing only, nothing different. Okay, so yeah, one thing. If you run this string into a cell, you can see that you have slash n's here. You would also see slash t's here. But if you run it, if you run it using print function, it just removes all the slash n's and slash t. It does that formatting for us. Okay. And strings, we use operator overloading. So we have 3 times into un. It will kind of multiply it on 3 times and it will add it to IUM. So this is operator overloading. Okay, that's how it works. So if you want to join 2 strings, just use a simple plus, that is for concatenation. Okay. Great. There's nothing new here. Just run the same examples only. Nothing new, nothing different. Uh, as you can see, I've defined a string and I'm just simply printing it out. Okay, nothing different. Okay, so next thing is indexing and slicing. So before starting this topic, any doubts up till now? Just ping me on chats. Any doubts or just give me a heads up. Thank you for the confirmation, Rajeshwari, Kalyani. Just give me a heads up if the sound is okay. Just send me yes if the sound is okay. Hey, thank you. That was a relief. That is a big relief. Big relief. Okay, I really don't know why the sound break first time. Okay, so let's start with indexing and slicing. So this is something which makes Python very special and makes Python very interesting for data science. That is indexing and slicing. So this is a very important concept. So just kindly pay attention. Very easy, but very important. And this is concept which is used in list, tuples, and many other data types also. But whichever data type is iterable, every data type which is iterable, you will be using indexing and slicing there. Okay, so as you can see, I've defined a variable as word, which is as Python. And after that, I'm doing a simple indexing of word 0. It is returning me P. So in Python, indexing starts from 0. In C also, it starts from 0 only. Ruby is the only language where it starts from 1, I guess. So yeah, in Python, indexing starts from 0. I'm fetching the first item of that variable, that is P. Okay, I'm fetching the fifth one. It should give me n because p stands for 0. So y will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So n will be 5. It should give me n. Great. So yeah, that is forward indexing. Okay. Now, if you see backward indexing, now if I want -1, the last character, when I put -1 here, it will give me n. Okay, then I have -2, that will give me O. Then I have -6. Now this is very interesting. -6 will give me P. So we have two ways of fetching the single item of that variable, by using positive forward indexing and by using negative reverse indexing. How this indexing is written in Python? It is written by using the data structure Q. If someone wants to know in much detail, Q, if you might have heard, if you might have learned about data structures, which many people skip in colleges. But yeah, by using Q, this indexing and slicing has been implemented internally in Python. And we use forward indexing and backward indexing. Wait, I'll see if that, yeah, you can see here, this is how indexing is: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And after that, we have reverse indexing: -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. We don't have a 0 here. We just have 1, 0. And the reason is we have implemented this indexing by using the data structure Q. Because of that, we don't have a repetitive kind of an indexing. Okay. So yeah, we have seen reverse indexing. Now we will see slicing. Word 0 to 2. So just try to understand, when I say 0 to 2, just pick the first item which was given by 0, that was P. Then what is given by 2? By 2, it is giving me T. So it won't be returning me PYT, it will just return me P and Y. So the last one is skipped out. As you can see, word 0 to 2 is PY. Okay, तो आखिरी वाला skip हो जाता है. Last one is skip out. Word 2 to 5 is THO. Okay, so let's see what is 2 here. 2 was T, right? 2 is T here. And what is 5 here? It is, let's see, H is 3, 0 is 4, and N is 5. So last one is skipped. THO, right? THO. Okay, so it is not like last one is skipped. Don't remember this in the same way. If you see here, if you see the indexing, when I was calling 0 to 2, just see here, 0 to 2, it just have py in the middle. You see it very well. It just has py in the middle. That is why it was returning me just py, because this is how indexing works, if you get a hang of it. Okay, Yeah. So now here you can see we don't have the upper slicing indexer. We just have the lower one. So that means that up till 2, I want everything. Up till 2, I want everything. So I have py here. Then I have from 4, I want everything. I have the front one, but I don't have the back one. So it means that from 4, I want everything. Then from -2, I want everything. So what is -2 here? So -2 is this. From -2, everything that is on. Okay. Slicing will always work from left to right. Just make a sense of it. We will always be slicing from left to it, left to right. So -2 was giving me this index from this to up till the end of it. Okay. Okay. So if I want to print the entire thing, this is just a trick of it. Word up till 2, from 2, it gives me Python. Up till 4, from 5, it just gives me Python. Okay. We have negative indexing. We have zeros for it. Oh, this is interesting now. In Python, we don't have indexing of 42. So it gives me an index error. Okay. But if you do a slicing, from 4 give me up till 42, it will give me on. So it won't give me an index error here. It will just return me what is fetched. What is not fetched, it won't return me. No index error. From 42, give me something, nothing. It gives me an empty thing. Okay, one more thing. Python strings are immutable. So what is mutable and immutable? We will be seeing this concept. But before that, any doubt in indexing and slicing, just ping me on chats. Just ping me on chats if any doubt on indexing and slicing. If my speed is high because I'm feeling that I'm kind of rushing a bit. I don't know. It's not my normal speed. I take it very slowly, but seeing a time constraint, I need to hurry up. No doubts? Great, great, great. Yeah, it's comparatively easy, right? It's very easy. Python is easy. Yeah. Okay, great, great. So I'll just take it as a confirmation and start with the next topic. Okay. So the next thing is immutability and mutability. Okay. So what is immutability and what is mutability? Just in simple terms, understand this thing. If we are allowed to change the data type, that is mutable. We can change it, that is mutable. And if we cannot change it, if we cannot modify it, that is immutable. Simple as that. If we can change that data type which is defined, it is mutable. If you're not allowed to change it, it is immutable. Simple as that. Keeping it very simple and very in a very layman way. So strings are immutable. Apart from strings, what else are immutable? Tuples are immutable. We'll be seeing what tuple is. Tuple is immutable. Lists are mutable. Okay. Strings are also immutable. Okay. So as you can see, we will see how strings are immutable. Now I try to assign this j to the first element of word of 0. That was p in Python. It is not taking it. It says me that item assignment is not supported because strings are immutable. You cannot change the value. Now, for example, if I want to print Jython instead of Python, so what should I do? I'll just do one thing. I'll just fetch the rest of the part of Python, and I have J, and I just concatenate it. So that gives me Jython. That is how we will be doing a workaround out of it. Okay. Simple as that. Nothing new. Simple slicing operation. The main thing is strings are immutable. Okay. We have a length function of strings which gives me 34 it. Okay. So okay, before this I'll show you something in strings. बहुत सन्नाटा है आज क्लास में. Okay, stop sharing. Share Chrome tab. Yes. So is everyone able to see this W3 school page? Just give me a yes on chats. Okay, great, great, great. Okay, so strings is not so much small. What I cannot teach you everything right now in a very small amount of time, but I'll definitely show you the entire roadway for it. We know what string is now. Now we want to see what inbuilt functions string have, what different operations which we can do on string. So these are the various kind of operations which are okay to work in a typical industry. Even if you know these functions, you're more than enough. Okay, so we have capitalize, we have case fold, we have center, count, encode, we have ends with, we have find, normal functions which are very much explanatory. Capitalize will capitalize the first character, ends with will tell whether it is ending with that or not. Count will give me the count, center will recenter it. Then format is used for print function. We use kind of format with it. Then is alpha numeric will tell me whether it's alphanumeric or whether it is decimal or whether it's alphabet, it is digit or not. Very basic functions. We have join, then we have lower upper, which kind of converts the string into lowercase and upper cases. We have L strip, that is lower strip and a right strip. Then we have right find, replace. So just go through these functions. It will give you a good idea of what string is, and this is more than enough to get string okay. Okay, so yeah. Hmm. Okay, so next thing we will be starting is list. Okay, so what in today's session we will be completing all the data types. We will be covering list, sets, and dictionaries. So once we are done with this, then in the next session we will be covering the other important things which are needed. Like we will be seeing the loops, for loop, if loop, the basic things that we will be seeing functions, and we will see the other things which are needed for data science. Object-oriented programming is not needed for data science. It is needed when you start writing the backend for a product, but in most of the cases it is not needed. So I won't be covering object-oriented concept, but apart from that, the other section of the Python we will be seeing there. Okay, so let's go with list. Simple as that, it's a compound data type. I have defined a list here. Okay, it's of squares, it is versatile, and simple. We are fetching the first value in list, and the same indexing and slicing concept which we were using in strings, that same will be applied in list also. Okay, 0 will give me the first one, -1 will give me the last one. Slicing works in the same way in which it is working in strings. Okay, if we have put a simple colon here, it will give me the entire list. Okay, you can concatenate that list with another list by using a plus operator. Lists are mutable. You can change the values of a list. I've defined a list, cube is equal to this. 65 is not a cube, I want to change it. I'm just assigning cube 3 is equal to 64, it will get changed. Okay, so we can change the values of a list. This is an example of mutable data types. So lists are mutable because we were not allowed by Python to change the values in string, but we are allowed to change the values in list. Okay, we have some functions in list the way we have those in strings. We have append. What append will do, it will add that element at the end of that list. Okay, okay, I have not defined it here, cubes. That is why it is telling me this. I'll just define your cubes here. I'll append it and do it. So as you can see, I've appended 265 at the last of it. It also appended 7's cube. Okay, so we had a list 1, 8, 27, 65, 125, and I've appended these two values to it. Okay, so we have another list of letters. I'm fetching some values by using slice. No, I'm here changing those values by using slice. As you can see here, CD are small. Okay, here small. I'm changing the values from 2 to 5 to capital. And as you can see, we are able to change it. This is a pure example of mutability of list. Okay, this is a very popular question which is asked in Python interviews. What is the difference between lists and tuple? Every interview will ask you this. This is very basic. So major difference is lists are mutable, tuples are immutable. And what are the other differences? Other differences can be like tuples are when you use tuple in code, it kind of speeds up the code. It's like the computational time is less in tuples, but in list it takes more time. And where are tuples used? Why do we need tuple if we have list? Tuples are used when you don't want the thing to get modified. So if you are doing if there's a login request from a client to a server. And if you want to send that username password to server to validate whether it's right or wrong, a hacker can breach in between and see whether it's right or wrong. We encrypt the code, we encrypt the data, right? But if we use tuple there, tuple itself is immutable. So hacker cannot change the value there. It will be one and the same thing. So this is one of the use case where tuples are used instead of list because we don't want the value to get changed. Okay, because other than that, everything is same. The functions are same. Many things are same. The only thing is that we cannot modify tuples. We can modify list. Okay. If you want to remove it, just assign them to one single empty list. It will get our work done. If you want to empty the entire list, just select the entire list by using colon and just assign an empty list to it. Even if you don't write colon, even that would be good. Length is a function which is tell me what is the length of the list. Then we have a list inside a list. Now, as you can see, we have list inside a list. So now here is a tricky part when you do indexing. So as you can see, when I do x of 0 here, x of 0 is giving the first list because at the first position I have this list. Now inside this list I have my data. So I have at 1 I have b here, right? So when I do x of 0 or 1, it gives me b, right? Then this is this basic example of Fibonacci series, very basic things which you can do. Okay, so we are done with list here. Any doubts here? Just ping me on chats. Just give me a heads up, yes, if things are okay. I know it's easy. Great, great, great. You must be finding it very easy, right? If people who might have seen this for the first time only, they might be finding it somewhat different, but things are very much easy. Okay, so, okay, just a second. Okay. Any doubts up till now? Just ping me on chats. No doubts then. I think we are good with list, string and numeric data types up till now. Okay, just a second. Chrome tab. Yeah, so if you want to see the different functions of a list, yeah, here we have different functions of list. We have length, we have max, minimum, we have typecasting list, which we use for converting tuple into list. We have methods called append, count, extend, index, different functions. Covering all these functions won't be possible seeing the time constraint, but I would really recommend you all to go through each and every function and execute it, because it's okay if you see it and you understand it, but when you code it on your own, that is where the confidence grows. I would highly recommend you to go through this website. You can go on tutorials point, W3 School, Dataflare, Real Python. I think that are good. If you are a beginner, this tutorial point is more than good. If you are an intermediate guy, an IT employee, just go with Dataflare. That is a good site, or Real Python. That is nice, or just the final documentation of Python. That is the best. Okay. Yeah. So back to our what does extend does. Extend is used for combining two lists. Whenever you want to combine two lists, that is why you use extend. Okay. Okay. Just a second. Okay, great. So we are done with lists. So yeah, there's a deeper thing which is called as shallow copy and deep copy. This is a very common question which is asked in interviews, and very few people know this thing. Not few, but at least definitely not many people know it. So what is shallow copy versus deep copy in Python? So here you can see I've defined a list here, and I have one list inside and another list. So I have a 3-5 list inside and another list, and what I'll be doing is I'll do two copies here. First is the shallow copy and the other one is the deep copy. So what happens is in shallow copies, sorry to interrupt. Just give me a second. Just give me a second. Yeah, I hope the sound is not broken. I hope I'm still audible. Okay, just give me a yes on chats if I'm still audible clearly. Great, great, great. Thank you. Okay, so where were we? We were on copies. So we have shallow copy, we have deep copy. So I'll explain you what these two things are. This is a very intermediate interview question which is asked by many people. Okay, I will have to. Okay, let me show you. How should I show you? Wait, I'll show you from a site only. Hmm. Just give me a second. I will have to switch the tabs here. Chrome tab. Yeah. So yeah, this is where we are on Geeks for Geeks, and I'll try to explain you how shallow copy and deep copy works. Okay, do we have an image? Yeah. See, this is how shallow copy works. I have defined a list here. It is a bag one. We have Mandy, Ron, Rikup, and Bayek here. And this is one list, and this is an another list. And this is the shallow copy of the list. Okay, so what it is doing is it is pointing out to the same data type. It is pointing out to the same variables. So whenever I will be modifying one, the other gets modified. That is a trick here. Whenever I'll be modifying one, whenever we modifying the copy, the other one the other one gets impacted. But in deep copy, that is not the case. When you do a deep copy, two separate instances are created here. So that is a difference. That is a major difference, which is in deep copy and shallow copy. Okay, I'll show you with the Python code. Okay, Chrome tab. I really need to find a way of switching the tabs on Zoom. Every time I need to stop it. Okay, so this is how we'll be doing. Our first function is shallow copy. We are copying it. The other one is deep copy. So we have a list 1, 2, 3, 5, 4, and we are doing a deep copy of list 2. And after that, I am modifying list 2. I'm modifying list 2 2, 0, 7. So as you can see, I'm modifying this thing 3, 5. I'm modifying this 3 to be as 7. After that modification, I'm printing both the things, shallow copy and deep copy also. So this first thing is of deep copy. So as you can see, the original list of list was 1, 2, 3, 5, 4. This is what I did after a deep copy, and this is the L2 which I modified. As you can see, L2 is modified, right? I did a deep copy of L1 to L2. L2 is modified, and after that I printed L2. This is my L2 and this is my L1. So as you can see, L2 is modified, but L1 is not impacted. Okay, but that is not the case when I do with the shallow copy. Same operations, nothing different. I do a shallow copy and I modify it. L2 is modified, but here it gets modified. Here the original element gets modified. That's the difference between deep copy and shallow copy. Very, very important question which is asked in interviews. So before starting dictionaries, any doubt up till now? Any okay. Kalyani is saying that your voice is breaking. Okay, so is this a case with everyone, or is it just the Kalyani, or is it just Kalyani? Okay, so no, sir. Okay, fine. So Rajeshwari is able to clearly hear me. Is my voice breaking? Just ping me a yes if it is breaking, or ping me a no if it's not breaking. Okay, great, great, great. Okay, great, great. Thank you, thank you. So any doubt on shallow copy and deep copy? Any doubt on shallow copy and deep copy? Yes or no? Okay, Abhinaya is saying no. Ashifai is saying no. Oh, great, great. I think we can get started with dictionaries now. Then. Okay, so dictionary is a key value pair. We have a key, we have a value. Okay, I have defined a dictionary. Fruit is equal to apple. Color red, state fresh. I'm printing a dictionary. Everything is in the form of a key value. Key value, key value, key value, key value. How to fetch that value? I fetch it by giving the key to the dictionary. I have a value of red with the key of color. I am passing that color to the fruit dictionary. It is giving me red. Okay. After that, the same thing can be done by using the get function also. Get color gives me red. Simple as that. Okay. I'm changing the value of dictionary here. Color, change it to green. I don't want it as red. I want it as a green apple. That will get changed. Okay. I'm not executed it, right? Let me execute it. Okay, let's do this thing. Okay, I have not. So as you can see, the value of color is changed. So just make a guess. So what are dictionaries? Whether they are mutable, immutable? Can you just answer this question in chats? If I ask you what is dictionary, it is mutable or immutable? Mutable, mutable, mutable. Okay, so we have many people saying mutable. What if I tell you this answer is partially wrong? If someone asks you if our dictionaries mutable, tell him no. Tell him no. I'll tell you why. See, this part, the key part of the dictionary, that is fruit, color, and state, this part is immutable. Only immutable data types can take this part. And the value part is and the value part is mutable. That is the thing. On an upper level, we can say that, okay, fine, lists are mutable, but it's wrong. It's not that thing. Keys are immutable and values are mutable. Okay. So that's a difference. So if someone asks you in an interview, what is dictionary, mutable, immutable, explain him this thing. Okay. 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 Looping through a dictionary, simple looping, printing it out, nothing different. This will give me the keys of it. If you can see, apple, color, state, just printing the keys of it. What if I want the values? This is how you can get the values, or you can use the get function. Simple as that. Okay. Printing the length of a dictionary, simple as that. Changing the values. If you want to remove the elements from dictionary, use a pop function and you can remove it. You have remove color. As you can see, there is no color. We only have the keys of fruit and state here. Making the copy of a dictionary. Okay, so we have a copy of it. Okay, one more question. Can you tell me, is this copy is a deep copy or shallow copy? Great. Ilham has told right, keys cannot be changed. Yes, keys cannot be changed. Okay, the other question, that copy which I show you. So is that copy shallow copy or deep copy? It's okay if you're wrong. Deep copy. Okay, someone is saying shallow copy, deep copy, deep copy, deep copy, deep copy, deep copy, shallow copy. Mixed answers. Okay, just try to understand this thing. If you go to the shallow copy and deep copy, see, whenever you're doing a deep copy, I have copy dot deep copy. Okay, whenever you were doing a shallow copy, you had simply copy. Okay, so it was very straightforward. It was a shallow copy. Where was it? Yeah, it's a shallow copy. Okay, tuples. So I won't go to the tutorials point and W3 school and show you the functions of dictionary. It's the one thing I've showed you for string, I've shown you for list for saving your time, and I won't do it. Okay, so I've told you what dictionary is on a very brief level. For understanding different functions of dictionary, you can go on these websites and just check out through it. Okay. We'll see what tuple is. We already saw what tuple was on a very much detailed level. Tuple is ordered and it is unchangeable. Yes, it is immutable. It is immutable. We use round brackets to define it. Okay. So we can, the entire slicing and indexing works on tuple the same way, nothing different. Accessing elements, same way. We are slicing it out, same way. We are typecasting it here. Just see this beauty. we're typecasting a tuple into a list. Okay. Tuple also don't follow item assignment because they are immutable. Okay. But you can concatenate tuple. You can definitely concatenate them. Okay. Type is a function for seeing the data type of the variable. Okay. Now we have sets. So any doubt in tuple? Tuple and dictionary? If no doubt, just give me a yes. Yes. Okay. Great, great. Thank you. That felt nice. Okay. Set. So set is unordered and unindexed. This is a very important thing, and this is a very basic and a very important question which many Python developers don't know. If someone tells you, tell me what the difference between list, set, dictionary, and tuple, bang on. The person will fail in one property or something, and the interviewer will catch him somewhere. This is a very basic doubt, and everyone must know whether they are ordered, unordered, whether they are mutable, unmutable. The very basic things, and you should know it very detailed. Okay, this is a very important question which many people get confused at time of interviews. In sets, we cannot have duplicates. First point is that. Okay, very important point. In sets, we cannot have duplicates. In other thing, set is unordered. So okay, so one more question: if set is unordered, can we apply indexing and slicing on set? Just tell me yes or no on chats. If set is unordered, can we apply indexing and slicing on sets? Okay, Ashifa is saying yes. Sam is saying yes. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see. If you're saying it can be applied, let's see. Okay, so I have a set here. Okay. It gives me an error. Set is not subscriptable. Why? Set is unordered. If you don't have an order into a data type, how you're gonna fetch it, right? When you'll be asking, give me the zeroth element, the first element, second element, but set itself is unordered, so it won't understand which element 0 and 2. It is unordered. Okay? This is where many people fail in interviews. This is very important, and people ask, even I ask many people who give interviews very basic question. Tell me the difference between set, list, tuple, dictionary, and they fail in one thing or the another. They definitely fail in sets when it comes to duplicacies, when it comes to this indexing and slicing, they fail there. And this is a very small things, and it creates a very bad impression because these are very basic things, and you should understand this thing. So clear, set is unordered. Okay, so we cannot index it, we cannot slice it. We can loop it. Okay, we can add elements to a set, we can update it, we can remove it, we can do a pop, we can do a union, we can do an intersection. So you might have heard about sets in mathematics, right? That is the exact set which is defined in Python. No difference, no difference. जो सेट्स तुमने मैथ्स में सीखा था वही सेट है ये, कुछ कुछ अलग नहीं है. So every operation which you did on that set in mathematics, you did an intersection, you did a union, right? So every that operation is applied on this set also. That set is this set. Okay. So we are done with sets. We are done with the entire data type. So we have seen basic data types which were numeric. We saw strings. We also saw compound data types. We saw tuple, list, dictionary, list. Sorry, list, tuple, dictionary, sets. There are many other things like we have frozen sets and many other things, but it's not that important. Up till now, any doubt on data types? Okay, just give me yes or no. Just give me yes or no. Okay, Meera has a doubt. If you have a doubt, just ask. Okay. Meera, I'm waiting for you. 5 seconds. If no question, I'll go ahead. Great man, great. Okay, so next we will do looping and iterating. I know it's past, it's 6:20, but I think we should get done with this because if we are get done with this, then in the next session, if I want to start, I can start pandas, I can start NumPy and these things because that is more important than this thing. It's a very basic things, and this is something which you can. Uh, these are like basic things. This is like tip of the iceberg of Python. if you अगर ये समझ के आपको ऐसा लगता है आपको पाइथन आ गया, नो 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 नो, पाइथन बहुत बड़ा है, पाइथन इज ह्यूज। पूरी पाइथन पे एक बुक लिखते हैं बड़े बड़े लोग, सो पाइथन बहुत बड़ा है। वी आर जस्ट सीइंग द टिप ऑफ द आइसबर्ग। आई एम नॉट डिमोटिवेटिंग यू, बट आई एम टेलिंग द एक्चुअल फैक्ट। बट this Python is more than sufficient to get you started. Is more than sufficient to get you started in any kind of thing, whether it is web development with Python or whether it is data science with Python. With web development, you would need much more things like by exception handling, by file handling, then OOPS concepts and other things. But in data science, we don't need OOPS a lot, so we won't be seeing OOPS. Somewhat we would be we हम लोग try catch भी इतना नहीं करेंगे, बहुत कम करेंगे, so we won't be seeing that. But from data science perspective, we will be covering all the things which are needed. So let me complete this thing. Looping and iterating statement. Basing looping is एक काम को बार बार करना. If I want to print my name 10 times, I can write a loop and I can print it 10 times. Simple looping. Iterating. Iterating means like एक iterate out करना path में से. अगर A2 है तो give me an answer as yes. So that is a iteration. अगर A2 नहीं है तो give me answer as no. That's a iteration. It is iterating. Okay. Looping is like we are doing the same kind of thing many times, looping it out. So you would see some very interesting things in this thing. Okay, so I have a list here, and as you can see, I have this is a for loop. In okay, so very important thing in looping, we have while, we have for. Okay, we have these two things in Python. Generally, we use these things only. Okay, we in C, the way we do I is equal to 1, then I plus plus and I condition, that is not how the structure of looping is in Python. In Python, it is simple for I in the iterative data type, and we can just start the looping part. That is how the for loop structure is in Python, and while also it's similar, while condition and get started. Pay very close attention. We have colon here at the end. Okay, these are something which are only specific to Python. We have colon, we have indentation. We have colon, we have indentation. We don't have brackets here. Okay, so this is how loops, the structure is in Python. We have simple for loop for I and L as list is an iterable. Okay, what is an iterable? A data type which can be iterated. It's an iterable. Okay, for I in L, so it will go to every element of the list and will print it. Simple as that. Okay, I will be iterating over a string. Simple, it's a string. I'll be iterating on it and I just print it out. Next is for else loop. Okay, so what interesting here is it will execute the for. It will execute this for loop, and after that it will execute this else also. But if I put a break here, it will get me out of that loop. It will get me out of that loop, and this else won't get run. Okay. So if you see the output of this, first is simple list iteration, iterating out and printing it out. Simple string iteration, Python is being iterated and printed out. For else loop, the iteration is done and the else statement is also executed. But when you have the break in picture, so understand this thing. For I in S, so what is there in S? I have Python. So for I in S, it will be printing the P first, print P. After P, it gets a break statement. It goes out of that loop. Next thing, don't get printed. Okay, this is a for loop. So any doubt in this section of piece of code, just ping me on chats. Just a quick heads up. Yes, no? No reply. I'm waiting for a quick yes, no. Anyone? Okay, great. No doubt. Shruti, Harshita, Kavya. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the replies. Great, great. Okay, so we will see the next part. That is break, continue, and pass. So pass is something which will be new to the guys who are, I don't know if we have pass in Java. I don't think so. In C, C++, we don't have pass. So what pass is used for? It is used for writing empty loops. On a frank thing, pass is used for writing empty loops. So whenever you want to write empty loops, we use pass. What does break do? It will get you out of that loop if a typical condition gets satisfied. The condition is satisfied. If you want the thing, if they want the flow to get out of that statement, break is used. Continue, it will skip that typical condition and will take you to the next iteration. Okay, somewhat confusing. And yes, you will be understanding with this example. So as you can see, string is Python is love. And first we will see break. Okay, so what is the condition here? When we have the letter E or when we have the letter S, just do a simple break. Okay, so whenever the first letter E or S is received while iteration, it will do a break. The first S is received after Python I. The code is broken. The code breaks here, right? We have an output of Python I. Next thing is continue. What does continue do? Continue skips that condition when the condition is met. Okay, so the flow is like the condition is met. We have continue. It instead of going down, the flow goes back to the for loop. Okay, that is how it works. So what is the condition here? So as you can see, whenever you will be having E and S, that the below statements won't be executed. So as you can see, we have Python I, the S is kept, and we also don't have E here, right? So I and SS, E and S is kept. That is what continue do. And what is pass doing? Pass is doing nothing. Okay, it is just for using for empty loops. Okay, this is general way how for loops are used. Range. Okay, so it's a very important question. What range is? Range is an object. Range is a iterable. Range is a function. Okay, this is a question. What range is? Explain range and all. So yeah, you can say this thing. Range object be a range iteration, iterable be and range function be a. Okay, so get started with it. For I in range 5. So what range will do is it will from 0 up till that number, it will create an iterable for me. So what it's doing is range 5. It is creating an iterable for me from 0 to 5. And I'm printing at every iterable with the end is equal to space. So from 0 to 4, everything is printed because the last one gets skipped. I explained you in indexing how it works. Right? The last one gets skipped out. Okay, so the next thing is from 2 to 9. So I want the iteration from 2 to 9. So it will give me from 2 to 8, as you can see. Right? And the next thing is here the increment is from +1 +1. I want the increment as -1 +2 +3. So you can add a third argument here as 3 and it will be incrementing that thing by 3. So as you can see, this is just like printing the 3's table, 15, 18, 21, 24, right? So this is how the range is. I think the next thing is functions. Okay, after functions we will be seeing regex. I think we are good with today. We have already crossed 25 minutes. I don't want to keep you waited. So any doubts up till now? Any doubts up till now? Okay. I know it was very fast and very quick, but just try to understand completing all these things in 1 hour is itself a task. And I wanted to make sure that we are ready for the next session. Whenever we do pandas or something, we should be okay with it. The topic was entire Python needed for data science. Some things which we didn't did and which are very important were functions. Functions are very important, which we didn't saw. Regex is very important, especially when you are working with NLP. Regex is very important. NLP stands for natural language processing. Regex are very important. The other thing is try catch, try except. They're not that important, but it's okay. File handling is also not very important in Python because just do a simple replace most of the times. I think regex is very important, and the other important thing is functions. Object oriented concepts are not much needed, so we won't be covering that thing.